Hi, Marcus.
Great, we started recording. Thank you, Athena. Andy,
Here.
Ken,
Here.
excellent. And Marcus.
Yeah.
Great. That's a quorum of 5 people. Hopefully Erica will join shortly. She said she's gonna join at 6:30, so I will get us started with the agenda. Apologies, I'm not on camera tonight. So first, we're gonna approve minutes. Meg, you texted me and said you haven't gotten the minutes from June done yet, so we'll move on to July 24th. And then August 24th. Could we have a motion to approve both of those?
I haven't read them, but so I'll abstain.
I think it's August 21st, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
August 21st. Thank you for the correction.
Also, a message from somebody saying they were working on them still. Anyway,
We don't have the July 24th minutes yet. Someone's still working on them. You're still working on the minutes from June. And then we have the minutes from August 21st, September 4th, and September 11th that have all been sent in, and I believe have been sent to the committee. So we can vote on all 3 of those if members want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great. We do have to go one by one. So could you specify? Sorry.
Let's go work backwards. September 11th.
Perfect. Second. All in favor? Andy?
muted.
Hit the mute
Muted.
button, dude.
Aye.
Marcus?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Myself, I'm an aye. Meg?
I abstained because I didn't get a chance to read them, but thank you for whoever.
No problem. I'll move to approve September 4th.
Second.
Great. Andy?
Aye.
Myself, I'm an aye. Marcus?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Meg?
Abstain.
Okay. August, I'll move to approve the August 21st meeting minutes.
Second.
Great. Myself, I'm an aye. Andy?
Aye.
Marcus?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And Meg.
Abstain.
Okay, great. All those minutes are passed. We just need to get the July 24th and the June 26th minutes. Who is taking minutes for this meeting? It's back to your turn, Meg.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So,
I'll do too. Somebody,
okay.
I need, Marcus told, never mind, I'll call. Never mind. Nobody's
Okay.
called my own.
Public comment. I don't see any members of the public at this point. So we'll move on to.
There is a member of the public
there
in
is?
the audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Would you like to make a comment, Darcy? No? Yes? Sorry, I skipped over you. I didn't see you. Nope. Okay. Thank you, Athena. We'll go with outreach subcommittee update. It doesn't look like Erica or Raphael are here. Meg, you want
Erica
to
just
Sure,
joined.
Erica,
Oh, perfect. Hi, Erica. Can you hear us?
I can. Hello.
Great. Awesome. Welcome. Do you have an update on the July 24th meeting minutes?
Yeah, I submitted those several meetings ago.
Okay, great. I will try to find them in my email and we'll vote on them next time. Apologies for not sending those in.
August, I'll try to find the date that I sent them over, but
Great.
it was
Okay.
posted as part of the packet.
Oh, then maybe we approved them already.
We didn't. We didn't
Okay,
didn't
great.
get to them that night or
Then
something.
I'll make sure to post them for the next meeting. My apologies on that. Thanks, Erica. Okay, so public. Moving on to outreach subcommittee. Do you want to give a report, Erica?
Hang on a second.
Yep. Take your time.
Okay. So our subcommittee hasn't met since last week. but we did meet and since our previous meeting and talk about it was the same set of outreach activities that we had presented in the meeting, I think two or three meetings ago now. But, and so we're working on a draft of a letter that can be either printed as a letter to the editor or sent around to various entities or people in town to kind of help promote the existence of the initial report once that's done. And we're also working on the kind of set of additional contacts that we want to do outreach to above and beyond what the town can support us with. Those are the two primary activities where I sent an email to everyone in general, replying to Andy's attachments earlier, just saying that I wasn't 100% clear on what happened with the revision of the calendar for the extension. And that I'm only bringing it up because it impacts our outreach, the pace of our outreach activities. So when that comes around later tonight in the agenda, or now, I don't know, but it would be good to know where we've landed. I don't have a sense anymore of what our target dates are.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, the extension request has been submitted to the council, and I believe they're taking it up on October 6th,
Could you remind us what the exact timing?
January 5th.
But was there not a date on there for an initial or preliminary?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
Sorry.
Were
I just
those
don't have it in
revised
front
from
of me.
what you originally had sent out, or was it?
That date for the initial report looks to be October 2nd. So it's coming up. That's why I was hoping to have this extra meeting.
So could we discuss that and whether it's realistic? I think it's better to have realistic dates than to set dates that aren't realistic and I don't know.
Yeah, I
needless
agree,
to say,
Meg.
I mean, it's in
Ross-
2 weeks from now to finish a preliminary report. No, wait, is this the first report or the preliminary?
It's the initial report. It's
This
the
is
first
the
one.
initial report. I was just going to say, I agree. I think I originally put on the calendar October 16th, but Raphael had wanted to see if we could get that moved up, which at the time I felt like might have been possible, but if we want to reconsider and move it back to the 16th, I'm totally open to that.
Well, could we discuss what's involved to do it? Is this
What?
two things? Aren't there an initial report to the charter and then the preliminary report to the public? Aren't those two separate things?
There's an initial report that we are making public. Then there's a preliminary report, which is a revision of that based on whatever additional feedback we get.
Got
and
it.
Whatever we want to do to compile new information. After the preliminary, we have a public forum with the preliminary one in hand. And then there's a final.
So the initial report is one that's at the moment, October 2nd?
Correct.
That's what Julian was saying.
And when is the preliminary report at the moment, unless?
Let me find that for you.
If you have the document,
Yes.
maybe you want to share it.
I'm out later. It is November 1st.
November 1st.
Yep.
So could we sort of go through who's going to do what in order to meet the October 2nd deadline in order to decide whether we need to move it to?
Yes, we will, but now is not the agenda item for that. Now is the outreach subcommittee update. So we'll get to that soon enough.
Related because well,
we'll get to that soon enough. So basically, is that all for your outreach subcommittee update, Erica?
That's what I have to report out
Great.
right now because
Thank
we
you.
have additional, like I said, it's additional activities related to that calendar when we get to it.
I've got
Other questions?
two of us
Meg has her hand up.
Yep.
So does
Meg?
Andy does. I think Ed is up first, maybe. I don't
Sorry,
know.
I didn't see
Andy.
it.
Andy, go ahead.
Did the request to the town council include the intermediate dates, or is it just we'll deliver the final report by, we're looking for an extension to deliver the final report by January 5th?
It is only we will deliver the final report by January 5th.
Great, so we don't have to, we can putz with the schedule however we want.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Meg?
One of the things that we're working on the outreach subcommittee is deepening the list that we have for outreach. And now we have a better understanding of what Samantha does. So I'm actually working on I don't know if you got to look at it yet, Erica, a spreadsheet of a variety of outreach lists. And I'd like to, once the subcommittee has reviewed it and edited it, I have a lot of work to do on it still, but to send it to everybody in between the meeting and get feedback on it so we don't have to take time during a meeting.
For sure.
In additions to it, and people to take some responsibility. So for example, if you have, for example, a contact in the Rotary, I'm not sure that's the best list, but that lists all the organizations that we think have email lists, then you could volunteer to be the person who would contact that key person in that list. So everybody can look at that when we get it done and take on some outreach responsibilities, because our little subcommittee can plan it, but we can't do it all ourselves. I think, do you agree, Erica? I think.
I do.
All right, thank you. Do we have other questions, comments on outreach before I move us to the feedback subcommittee update? Andy?
Yeah, I got a question. It feels like we had talked about wanting to get a list that we then could send to the Collins Center for their annotation and vetting. And so I think we need to make sure we build that in to the outreach schedule so that whatever we are presenting to the public has been vetted by our consultants.
Yeah.
Agree, +1. That's why the overall calendar, whatever we decided to be, is important as it bears on outreach and everything else that cascades after.
Yep.
Excellent. I'll move us along to feedback subcommittee. Update, Andy, do you have an update?
Yeah, I mean, we met on Tuesday and took basically the score sheet from the voting sessions that we've done, and I can share that. And we basically, I emailed you the spreadsheet that has the. No, a second, I'm not sure I can see. I can't share it. Why not? All right, let me just talk you through it. You guys each have a copy of this spreadsheet, and it basically took the voting tab, and then it added additional tabs for one was a ranking of the votes called ranked. There were 3 tabs showing the positive votes, which are registered in green, the negative votes that are registered in red, and votes where no majority has been reached yet, whites. And by the definition of that was basically the greens were 5 or more votes in the 1 or 2 categories. Reds was 4 or fewer votes in the 1 or 2 categories. And whites were situations where we had enough abstentions that if they decided to vote, to change their vote, or then that could shift the balance one way or the other. So we didn't have a definitive vote on those, or we had agreed that we needed more discussion or information on those votes. So we have sort of one tab that has all the votes sorted as far as we could sort them out. And then 3 votes that sort of have the subcategories of group, basically yeses, nos, and we don't knows yet. And then we also had we've done a lot of flagging of various potential suggestions. So those were flagged for different reasons. So I think we need to go through at some point we figured we need to go through at some point and figure out why we flagged them. Some of them were just, we really need more discussion on them. Some were, we need clarification from Collins or KP Law. Some were, they're not charter level, but we thought they were important. Themes that might go beyond the charter that we wanted to make sure we registered, even though we don't think the language belongs in the charter. So those were, that's how we sorted the votes out for, ease of the committee's use and considered where we're at and where we need to go. So our thought was that the ones that we've indicated that we have a majority for are the green ones, and then the ones that we're not sure on yet are the white ones, and that we might want to go look at the white list and decide which ones we want to add to the green list and then send that list to Collins Center for their review. So that was our attempt to move the ball forward as far as the voting and what the list that might go into a table like the Framingham table would look like.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
I wish I could share it with you, but I don't seem to see them when I hit the share. I don't know if anybody else can, but maybe it's not necessary.
Interesting. I was able to screen share, so I'm not sure. But thank you for the update. I did have two sort of questions, concerns, which was basically, it seemed like with some of them, the majority of us flagged them or the majority of us abstained, and those made a lot of sense to put in the white to me. But I was sort of confused as to why we would want to put issues where basically we had a clear majority saying yes or no, and then had like one abstention or two abstentions, or two people saying flag, etc. I can think of a few examples on the sheet. If I had it in front of me, I could point them out. But there was a few in section 8, a few in section 3, where basically we have a clear voting majority, one way or the other, and then a few people, like one or two people who abstained, and
Yeah,
maybe
I think I can give an example. I'm looking at it now.
Can
Yeah.
I have a question, please? Because
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
can't follow along. I'm looking at what you sent, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong file. What you sent earlier today with 3 attachments.
That was what I sent earlier today was minutes.
Right, but there was an attachment, a spreadsheet attached there as well. And
Yeah,
I thought this is not the one.
That's not the one.
It was red and green, isn't that it?
yeah,
It
Okay.
was sent on
it's
Monday, I believe.
yesterday.
No, on Tuesday.
yeah,
Okay.
it was sent Tuesday, and I believe
I see
it
one
got
from
posted in the packet.
Wednesday.
But I at least sent it to be posted in the packet.
I see it from yesterday.
Okay, sorry to
Okay.
interrupt. I'm looking for it now. Go ahead.
No problem. I just wasn't sure, like, there was a few examples where I sort of was surprised to see a clear no vote or a clear yes vote. I had sort of assumed that abstentions or wouldn't, especially abstentions, wouldn't really count towards the vote being decided yes or no. I sort of counted as abstentions, right? Was how I saw it. So I guess
So
my question is a little clarity on that.
Yeah. Well, there's one in Article 3 that has 2 yeses, 2 ones, 3, 4 twos, and 2 3s. So, but it's vague language. So I think that's there because it's like unclear what the charter language would be. So we'd have to figure out what we may have thought that it was a positive thing to. It was basically, do the town manager and town staff pay attention to committee recommendations? And so we all thought that was, or 6 of us thought that was at least an important point, but it wasn't clear what the language would be. But if I go down to section 8, which you're talking about, see if I can find an example. I mean, our sense was that in order for it to make it onto the list, we needed to have a majority of the committee voting yes. So that would require 5 votes from the committee to put it on the yes list. So if we only had 4 votes for 1 or 2, and we had 3 votes for 3, you know, as a 3, which was basically no, and then we had 1 person abstaining with a flag, then we don't have a majority of the committee saying this should go forward, but we do have 1 person who abstained who could say, you know what, I want to change my vote and I want to vote yes. So then we would have 5 people saying yes. So I think we felt that for something to go forward, it should meet a threshold of a majority of the committee, which would be 5 votes.
Good. We're trying to let me raise my hand here.
Julian, Meg has her hand raised. You're muted.
So I just start. It's a quick question.
Go ahead.
So, the big unknown is, I think people flagged things for different reasons, but often it was because they thought it needed more discussion. And at the time when we were meeting at the library, I wondered, when are we going to have those discussions? I think that's the case of Raphael, and a couple of times he was sitting next to me, and so I could see that he was kind of pondering, and I know I certainly flagged when I thought, flagging it in the sense of, let's come back to this. And I don't know how we do that with how we have that many discussions, but my understanding and memory is that that was what at least some of us meant when we flagged something. Either it wasn't clear, or we needed more information, or we had to think about it a little bit. Maybe we could go back. I don't know if we flagged who flagged.
Yeah, I mean, we noted that in the white tab that there are a number of potential reasons why people flag things, and there was one where it's basically like we were talking about reducing the lame duck period from 8 weeks to 3 weeks, and I think we just felt like we needed more information on what that would do to
Right.
the budgeting calendar or whatever.
Right.
But
exactly.
other ones were basically like, okay, I'm flagging this because it's about transparency and we want to make sure that the transparency theme comes up. So let's just make sure that we put this in our list of other things. So there's a number of reasons why we might have flagged things, but it might be worth going through the flag list to say, can we identify why we flagged these? Some of these might be we just needed more expert input, and so that then we could send those along to Collins and say, give us some expert input. I'm sorry. Julian, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I had to step away for a moment. My cat was outside and there was a pretty large black bear in the yard. So it's fun to live in the woods. But I am back now. I heard most of that explanation, Andy. Thank you. I was just looking again, and basically there was the town manager section in the sheet, and then there was for the one you mentioned, and then there was, I think, 3 in section 8, where basically there was like 4 votes in favor, 5 votes in favor, and then 2 or 3 people who said to flag it, and maybe 1 no vote, etc. So I think it might be worth getting feedback from Collins on those votes. It might be worth that sort of thing, but I just would hesitate. Like, we have very few we took a lot out with the red column already, so it would be great to see if we could get some more of these ideas included in the green column, if that's possible, just to say to the public, like, hey, we're listening to an extent. We want to have some of these ideas in there, even if not everyone voted to support them, as long as enough people did.
Did we know who? Sorry, I didn't have my hand up. I'll raise it again. 3 people have their hand up.
Yep. I'm just
Erica,
looking here. I have a comment myself. But Erica, you raised your hand first, then Marcus, then Meg.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, to reiterate Meg's point earlier, which is that in our process during our retreat, the use of flagging was multiple, like for different reasons, and that just, Meg makes a good point, and that we should just we could take the approach that we're going to work through or decide what to do with all of the things that are clear majorities, and then or what to do with things that are clearly falling off the bottom, and then leave a kind of middle space for all these things that are flagged or don't have clear majorities one way or the other, which is, I think, a different way of saying what you were saying, Andy. But I think because we were moving fast and also not intentionally not having long discussions during our voting process, it was sort of like a deferral, and we have to sort of make space for those things we deferred
Mhm.
and not let them completely fall off. So as long as we come up with some process for those middle things.
Yeah, thanks for screen sharing, Marcus. You had a comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, kind of to get to Meg and Erica's point a little bit, we have gone through where clear flagging things were, to be included, and you'll see in the reds as well. There's plenty of things that we'd flag, just so that we know that they're not going to be in. But we also pulled out all of the flagged items so that we can, like you were asking, the idea was to go through them and say, look, either group them, on the transparency side, or go straight to expert advice, some of these things right here. So we did bring that, or did play with that idea, I should say. And hopefully we can kind of get to that point fairly quickly, but yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
thank
now I've got to figure out how to unlower my hand or whatever I'm doing.
you.
We'll see.
Meg, your comment?
Quickly, do we know, I don't think we noted who flagged. Second comment is, and I hate to say this because I think we all want this process to move along quickly, but I fear there's some things we need to actually talk about, particularly because there's certain themes that we've wanted to develop, like transparency. I'll pick as an example that Andy mentioned, and some of those have implications that I think need to be discussed related to some of the flag things, not only transparency, but some of the, I feel we haven't had enough discussion of some of this content of the proposals, particularly those that are not clear. Like, does it mean this or does it mean that? Or how would this apply? Is this practical? Things like that. We haven't.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it would be appropriate to we need to send all our edits off to Collins for some advice, but I think to basically ask for like a detailed explanation on the ones in the white columns. To basically say, yeah, here, that's perfect, Marcus. Like with some of these with the incorporation in Article A, that seemed to me like basically when you had a majority present and voting saying yes to that. You had 2 abstentions, but you had 3 1s and 1 2. That seemed to me like it's basically a 4-2 vote with 2 abstentions. In my mind, that passes and should be in the green column. With Article 2, both of those, I think the right idea is to have more discussion on it, and then to sort of first send it off to Collins, and then after we send it off to Collins, get their advice, have some discussion with that advice in hand. Marcus, if you want to scroll down just so I can mention the other areas that I was going to say. One Andy mentioned in Article 3. Oh, and then public participation measures. Yeah, I just see that that one where basically it's 2, that again is like a 6-2 vote. So I'm not sure, with not even any abstention. So that's another in the green to me.
Well, the question is, how do we give language that reflects that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense. That would be a Collins type thing. You
Yeah,
want to scroll down again, Marcus?
Yeah, sorry. I think
Go ahead.
that's important
Please.
just to reiterate is the fact that it's not necessarily down to a vote on why they're in the white, right? There is a need to, some of these are yes, pure yes, it's like you just put up, but the language is so vague that we need to take an extra
Mhm.
step to do something with it. The green stuff
Yeah.
we can just throw in and do. It's the white stuff we need to take that extra step.
I think Collins is a great person, is a great group for that. You want to scroll just up to section 7 for a minute? Okay. Yeah, that again, you'd need language for a recall provision. I see what you're saying there.
Well, actually, yeah, that one's, yeah.
Yeah. You want to scroll down a little more, Marcus? Yeah, I don't see anything under 9 or 10. But I was just gonna say it looks like, yeah, scroll up to 8 again. Yeah, I see here like simultaneous transitions in Spanish. That passes in my mind. Same with the delete exceptions to voter veto provision and then delete the entire section. Both of those pass, and I don't see why you would need any language. Like simultaneous transitions to Spanish is just simultaneous transitions to Spanish. Deleting the provision entirely is again just deleting the provision entirely, and those things passed with a majority, so I don't quite understand why these are flagged. Andy?
I don't think we've had a clear discussion on what it means to pass,
Yeah.
but it seemed when we were doing our work in the feedback subcommittee, we felt like for something to pass this committee, it should be approved by a majority of the committee members. And so if we can't get 5 members of the committee to say, yes, we should do this, then we didn't feel like that was a majority of the committee. It's not a matter of if a couple of people are like, I don't know, and then the people who, maybe we need to discuss it more, and that's why it's in the white column. But it's not, we need to have, I think we need to have a discussion about what it means to meet the threshold. And we've already agreed that we're gonna, if there's things that aren't specific language that goes into the charter committee, into the report as specific recommendations, we will still have other things that we talk about that came up in discussion. But for us to say we want to change, we recommend changing the charter, the town's constitution, and we're a committee of 9 or of 8 actually. We need a majority of the committee, whether it's 9 or 8, that would be 5 people. And so if we don't have 5 people, and the people who chose to abstain should be given a chance to vote. But if they don't want to change their vote, then we don't have a majority if you got 4 people voting for something.
Yeah, sorry. Other comments, questions?
Yes, I have my hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Erica.
Andy, if I could clarify, I want to understand what you're proposing in terms of process. Are you saying that if something is either not a clear majority in one column and or it's been flagged by 1 or more members of the committee, then it should be it should pause before proceeding for further discussion?
We have 2 different things. And there are 2 different tabs, and those represent the 2 different things. The flagged tab has all the things that have been flagged. And we could go through that and say some of them clearly passed, some of them clearly did not. And then some of them, we don't have a majority of the committee saying yes yet. So there may be different reasons that those are flagged, and I think we need to sort out, like, are we flagging each one of them? Are we flagging this because because we need to discuss it more, or are we flagging it because we just want to make sure it gets listed in the report somewhere, even if we're not recommending it as a change?
Right.
The white list is basically ones where we don't have if you take all the members of the committee, we don't have a definitive majority or voting for it. But if we have people abstaining, and if they wanted to change their vote, that they could produce a clear majority or a clear minority, or clear in favor or clear against. So we felt like
Andy,
we
can
couldn't
I
say
just,
that was
sorry,
a
Andy,
yes.
can
but
I
we
just,
could,
can I just clarify what you're just saying, right? So you're saying clear majority, but I think we need to actually put numbers to it for people's understanding. In the subcommittee, we were saying that columns 1 and 2 had to add up to 5, basically.
That's what you're counting as a majority.
Yes, that's what we're counting as a clear majority.
What
So-
if it's
Majority
2
of the
and
committee.
3?
But they have to add up to 5. So it doesn't
Marcus?
matter. Yeah,
Marcus, just a follow-up, what if there's columns 2
But-
and 3 add up to 5?
but 3 was always a no. So a majority was a majority of yeses, right? So we had 1 and 2 were a yes. 1 was I really, it absolutely has to be in there right now. 2 was I'm kind of okay with it, let's do it. 3 was no, I don't care about it, we're not doing it. Abstain and flag, they're abstain and flagging. So for the subcommittee to say that this was actually going to go through, we needed columns 1 and 2 to add up to 5.
Other
And
comments?
that's why there's like somewhere up here, somewhere in these, where this is 4, right? And it's really a case of where this abstain would go as to whether we get a majority or not. So sorry. Yeah.
I'm seeing Andy, your hand's still up.
Yeah. Yeah, just as Marcus was saying, and to amplify that, I believe that that the voting number 1 was to say this is a high priority for me. Voting number 2 was it's not really a high priority, but I'm okay with it. And voting number 3 was saying I'm against it. So we saw those as both yes.
Erica, go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing that to remember is that from our retreat, that the other factor that went into the vote was the feasibility. And that was something that was we discussed around the table. Like that's part of what it factors into this, whether we are advancing or prioritizing something. Is its feasibility, not necessarily our own priorities, but a feasibility as a recommendation to modify the charter within this process, without necessarily knowing all of the legal ramifications of all of it. It was a kind of ranking of this seems sort of plausible to advance as part of a recommendation. I just don't want that to drop out. Like this was just us kind of picking and choosing our own priorities.
I think that's what it informed whether we chose 1, 2, or 3, though, right? I mean,
I think they're both involved because our priorities came from like our informed process over the course of this year. It's not out of nowhere, but it also I think it also had to do with, I remember Raphael bringing it up, and other people brought up the idea that the sort of feasibility of making change or making recommendation for change, it was part of the criteria. Just worth saying.
Thank you, Erica. I agree. I was just gonna say that like something that Bernie reminded me of at the retreat that I think sort of applies here is, and I think he reminded the whole committee, was that abstentions count as abstentions. They don't count as yes, they don't count as no, they count as abstentions. So in my mind, that means that whether something passes or not is an issue of a majority of those voting one way or the other. And our committee has a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of us. We have 3 reports to submit. I feel like if we can eliminate maybe 4 or 5 sections in the white to say, yes, we'll pass this and we'll support what the idea was suggested by the public, I think that will both move our committee along and follow the Robert's Rules of Order of how voting on committees and in town governments and municipalities is supposed to work. I mean, we don't get to invent our own voting system here. I think we should follow the Robert's Rules of Order as best we can. Erica?
What are you proposing that's different from what Andy proposed a little while ago?
What I'm proposing is going through this list and anything that doesn't need explicit language or clarity, such as section 1.1 and then section 8.3 and 8.4, 8.5, and then the simultaneous transitions to Spanish, that we count those as pass votes because as green, because that's the majority of members voted for it. I worry that we don't want to go in here and say, okay, because some people want to keep the voter veto provision, or some people would rather our meetings be monolingual, that we would not put those in the green category. If they lost the vote with Robert's Rules of Order, they lost the vote. That's okay. I respect their opinion, but I think that the green category is where those 5 or 6 things belong.
So just a quick thing on this simultaneous, another reason why this was white too is the fact that it actually exists today. So the town already owns capabilities to achieve this. So adding it, that was another reason why we wanted to have additional discussion on it, was that this exists already. Is there a need to put it to the level of a charter, or is this something that we just say, hey guys, let people be more aware of it, right? Just because we put something in a charter doesn't mean anybody's going to realize it. But really what the focus would be, this would be something to do with the public outreach, right? Let people know that these capabilities exist. So it's not, I understand your point, but there's a little bit more nuance to some of this. So
Sorry to interject, but that's an example, I think, Marcus, of like of a feasibility issue, right? If it's something that already exists but isn't well known, or something that, it's clearly like there's a desire for it, but it doesn't necessarily rise to the level of the charter. Those kinds of things are about feasibility, not just priority of value.
I would just add that, like, I personally, I guess we'll use this one as an example, but I feel like it's reasonable to add it into the charter, given that I attend almost every council meeting and I am on 2 committees. I've never seen a meeting be translated for someone, even though I think something like 30% of Amherst High speaks 2 languages. So, like, maybe if you are both technologically savvy enough and have $100 to buy a translation software on your phone, maybe it is possible theoretically, but I don't think everyone is in that situation or wanting to go through that amount of effort to access their government. And I would say that, like, again, with like delete voter veto provision, delete the section entirely, 4 people voted yes to delete the section. I mean, that seems pretty much as close to a mandate as we can get. Erica?
Is that a mandate?
I think Ken had his hand up.
Ken, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi. This is a little frustrating to listen to. I'm not frustrated with anybody in particular, but I'm trying to move us forward here. I actually agree with Julian. Going back to what abstentions are. Abstentions are, I'm not voting. And I am not, and I don't think Andy's suggesting that we go back to the abstentions and say, hey, what do you want to do now? Those abstentions are abstentions. And so I'm in agreement with Julian that if we had afforded 2 with 2 abstentions, that's a majority vote. And those abstentions stay. Because I do want us to move forward, and I want us to classify these things to get them in the hands of Collins so we can move forward.
Thanks, Ken. Other comments? Erica, your hand's still up?
Yeah. I totally want to move it forward too. I just want to have a real coherent process, because I think part of why we're in a state of a little bit of confusion is because some of these things weren't 100% clear as we started down the road on September 6th. And so we're trying to clarify them now. So I don't want to delay any further than we have to, just to be super clear. But I just think going back to use the example of the Spanish translation, it would be, to my mind, a mischaracterization to say that because 4 people voted to prioritize this and 4 people didn't, that means that 4 people don't think it's important for the town to provide some kind of translation. In other words, you
Right.
can interpret that vote in a number of ways, but I think it would be a mischaracterization to say we don't value the translation into Spanish or the making things accessible in general in meetings. It's more about, is this a charter? Does this rise to the level of the charter appearing somewhere in the charter? And we don't need to debate it right now, but I just want to be clear on terms, right? It doesn't mean it's not a value vote of like, I think translation's important. Well, I think it's not important, or I think we should only speak English. This is not that debate. We
Right.
shouldn't turn it into that. It's a debate about, should we make this recommendation that the town should make this a kind of constitutional issue, to Andy's point? Like, are we revising the Constitution towards this? Or are we putting it somewhere else? Like, another set of recommendations that you should listen to, town council, are these, in addition to the ways in which you should modify your own charter.
Mhm.
And so those 2 things are really important to keep clear. We're not voting on what we think about Spanish translation in that case.
Right.
Andy, and then Meg.
I'm just looking at this example. We have 3 votes in the 1 category, 1 vote in the 2 category, 3 votes in the 3 category. We don't actually have any abstentions. We have somebody who flagged it rather than voting. So I don't know if that counts as an abstention or not, but I think that this is, we kind of got flag happy toward the end. And in some cases it meant I'm flagging this because I want it to be on the list of things that we talk about that aren't in the charter. And sometimes it was like, well, I don't know what to think, so I'm just going to flag it. So I don't know how to interpret that, but I do kind of feel like if we're going to, and I guess I feel both ways. If it's close in a judgment call, then maybe we should be more inclusive and keep sending it along. But I think our final recommendations should be supported by a numerical majority of the entire committee. So, you know, I don't know if that means
Thank you.
strongly encouraging people to take a position,
Thanks.
or you know, but it seems like we should have a threshold when we finally have a report to say a majority of the committee stands behind these recommendations. So, I mean, if there's a couple of things here that we'd like to pass through, fine. But the reason we have the white is because it wasn't really clear to us which way the committee felt. And in some cases, it's because it wasn't very clear what the process was because of flagging versus abstaining versus, you know, so on.
Thank you. Meg?
At least for myself, flagging and abstaining were not the same thing. I was sometimes abstained because I didn't have an opinion, or I didn't know enough, or I couldn't decide, but flagging meant there's something to talk about. At least that's how I voted. Flag is like, wait a minute, I want to come back to this. I'm agreeing. If you abstain, you took yourself out of the voting. But if you
Thank you.
flagged, maybe you didn't. Yep, sorry.
Thank you.
Gonna put my hand down.
Other comments, etc.?
What does the X in the F column mean?
It was flagged.
It was flagged.
Wow.
And so
What is, yeah,
if I'm looking at line 37, in the A column, there's 2 flags,
Mhm.
and then there's an X in the flag column. How do I read that?
Yeah.
The flag column just means that, just recognize that there was an F in the abstain column. We just went through all of the lists if there was any F anywhere,
I see.
or in some cases an
It's not a
asterisk.
separate thing.
No, it's just keeping track of all the flags.
Okay.
But it looks like we only have 7 votes in 36. Or somebody chose to say flag rather than voting. So
Yeah, you can chime in. Go ahead.
I mean, I think our goal here was to just sort of move the ball ahead to sort of clarify where we were in the obvious cases. The greens and the reds seemed like they were fairly clear. The whites, we didn't feel like we're clear. If we want to clarify the whites or if we want to go through the flags, those were the 2 areas that we thought maybe the committee should be focusing on.
I think, yeah, thank you. I think the best use of our time right now might be to go through everything in white and decide what we want to do with it. If we want to keep it in white, if we want to bring it to Collins, if we want to put it in green, put it in red. I think that might be a good use of the committee's time to sort of move forward. So at least we have clear boundaries of what we would include in an initial report and not. Marcus, would you mind scrolling to the top? Thanks so much. Is that all right with folks? We'll just move through one by one and we can have a little bit of discussion if we need to, just being conscious of time. So we'll get us started. Article 1. In my mind, this should move into the yes column. How do other folks feel? Okay. Comments. Don't see any hands raised. I guess we'll just go around and say, I guess if folks don't want it moved into the yes column, I'll ask that you speak up. And if not, we'll move it in the yes column. Is that all right? Okay. So moving, yeah.
Just if you're going to be marking things, the green is the lightest green in the top right corner.
Thank you.
Sorry, I will find the mute button and get to that ASAP. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm a no on this one.
Okay. So maybe the best way to do it is vote it.
Yeah, I think that's the exact way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how are we? We don't have everybody here.
Correct.
So,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
this is really,
I mean, we had a vote
This
with
is-
with all of us here, and now a minority of us are going to say whether it should go
Yeah.
green or not. But
This
I
is
mean, I
work
guess
that
that's what happens when you're not here. But I
Erica?
mean,
Yeah, this is also work that can be done outside of the committee meeting.
yep. Mhm.
Because if we've come up with a process that is go through everything that's in white and vote again and see if we come up with a different answer. But if you want to actually come up with, if you want to move these into one or the other, I think it involves discussion, not just a vote. Otherwise, we're back at 0.
Right. I agree. Especially because voting now is fewer of us than made the original vote.
Yeah.
It's like saying, 3 of you aren't here, so we're going to re-vote it.
So how do we want to dispose of these then? Is what I would ask the committee. Do we want to send everything in white to Collins? Do we want to, what is the suggestion? I guess is what I'm saying is I personally would like to go through and move a fair amount of these into the green column. I understand a lot of committee members don't agree with that. So how would we want to dispose of that? We can't just wait until we're lucky enough to find a night where all 8 members can join us. That isn't realistic.
could
Yeah.
we walk through these briefly, and maybe we can say, because we've been the feedback subcommittee's been through this once already, that maybe we could say why we thought it was in this category. Would
Sure.
that be helpful?
That's great.
And
And we can discuss it a little. Great.
So
could we flag could we identify any that, following what Erica's suggestion, that there may be some things homework we could do on our own and invite others who aren't here to do as we go through this quickly, would it be helpful to identify those things where it would be good to get individual feedback? I'm not quite sure how that would work, Erica, but it was an interesting idea that some of this work we could do between meetings.
It's just one way to do it. I understand people don't want to slow down, but I also think the other way to go is to simplify this list of the ones marked white or the ones that are flagged or both, and send a packaged version of that to Collins for some additional feedback that might actually inform a refreshed vote with some hard information, because a lot of these things is where we ran into the wall of not necessarily being clear about, is this charter worthy? Is this charter appropriate? Is this, so this might be a good point to just take the things that aren't clear red and greens and package them up for additional feedback.
I actually would like to get their feedback on what we think is clear, because I don't think we have, I don't think some of it is that
As
clear.
not exclusively, Andy, I meant like as a next step for these things in a sort of gray area that we've been debating all night. And that's what I was saying, not that we'd ever consult them again, but that.
Well,
it's
okay,
just a thought.
maybe, can we take a couple of these just so
Yeah.
we can walk through and sort of say what we thought, why we thought they ended up here, and then we can, that might help us decide which ones can just go into the green or the red.
Yeah.
So the first
Yeah.
one, I hear the argument that abstention shouldn't count. So maybe it could go in. I mean, I was one of the three, so I'm not gonna reiterate my argument. But so I don't think this is a big one. I mean, I think we could probably dispose of it. It's not there because it's not clear. It's there
Right.
because by the system we were using, we didn't arrive at 5 votes from the full committee. The next one.
I
Reduce-
just, on that one, I abstained, I think, because I didn't have an opinion. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sorry to interrupt.
basically taking language that exists as a suggestion and making it a mandate.
Mhm.
So,
So are we moving that into the green, I guess?
I'm just
Sure.
thinking it would be good. I mean, we could.
Yeah.
What do you? I mean, should we
What?
vote? Should we vote to move these, or we're just saying yeah? Is it generally, we're
Which
generally okay
would
with it?
folks prefer to do? I do not care either way. I'll move to put this in the green. Do I have a second?
second,
Great. Myself, I'm an I. Meg.
I,
Sorry, I just need to pull up everybody's name here. Andy.
Abstain.
Okay.
So
Erica?
predictable.
I'm just was trying to pull out my original vote, so give me a moment, please.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know I was a no.
that's a
but-
good idea.
I'll move on to Ken.
Yeah.
Great. Marcus.
No,
Okay. Erica, we're just waiting on you.
I'm gonna go get my votes in
Go right
the other room.
Yeah.
well, it's pretty much a green anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
it's gonna
Here
be
it is.
moved either way.
Let's put it on the list. I mean, I would strongly hope that we would have a final vote before we actually, and we have agreed upon rules for what makes it in and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this is an intermediate process, so fine. The so the next one, line 9, Article 2.
Sorry, just hang on a second. Let me make sure I save this so that we
Oh yeah.
don't lose all of our wonderful votes.
In 18.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great. So the next one was 8 of us abstained and flagged because we needed more information. So this is clearly one that we need to dig deeper on. And I think the main thing we were trying to figure out, and we actually talked about it in the feedback subcommittee, was what difference does it make if the council is sworn in at the end of November versus the beginning of January to the calendar. Can't the calendar stay the same and you can just have them do other things until you get to the calendar? But we don't know the answer to that. So if there's some problem that we're not anticipating, then we should know about it. But it's clearly not on the list of things to say yes to because nobody voted for it. So it's not that we're against it, it's that we don't know. This is a pure white.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will just say this, there's a lot of information about this in League of Women Voters materials. I think it's totally fair to flag this and send it to Collins. And same with the next one.
The next one is, we basically said we needed to split it and discuss individually whether we were voting for an increase or a decrease. So we could do that, but that's why there was no vote. This next one, there were only 7 people voting, so there's no abstention, there's no flag, so we might want to fix that. But also so there's no majority. I mean,
I think when 7 people.
it's a 4-3, but we're missing a vote.
So which
When
one are
sec-
you on? I'm sorry.
Line 13, so that's strengthen checks and balances between the executive and legislative branches.
I would just say one comment here is it may be, and I could be wrong, that with a few of these where there was only 7 votes, maybe someone went to get something from their car or went to the bathroom or something and
Oh, it's
missed the
totally
vote.
understandable. It's just that we don't have 8 votes, so we didn't think we should put it forward yet without talking about it. So then the
Okay.
next one is clearly, there's 6 people in favor of it for 2 twos and 4, I mean, 2 1s and 4 2s. But the thing itself is, do the town manager and town staff pay attention to committee recommendations? So what does that mean? I mean, does that, what language would go in a charter? It seemed like people felt like it was a good question, but it wasn't language. So
That can be sent to Collins, I guess.
So then the next one, all applicants should be informed. Again, we only had 7 votes. We didn't have a majority, so that's why it went in our white. But if we want to put it in the green, that's fine. Well, with me.
Okay. I personally think both of those 7 votes should go in the green. I mean, it seems like there was a majority both times, and one person might have been out of the room for a moment.
Well, I mean, we should give everybody the chance to vote.
Yeah, I guess maybe the best way to approach this is just to email everyone and say, if you haven't voted on these, please vote.
I agree with that.
Everybody to reiterate their vote.
Great. What?
That could be homework.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
On the
Yes.
2 7 votes, we could say, please, everybody send in your votes on this so we can
Yeah.
get clear.
Perfect. Great. I think this whole section should go to Collins, quite frankly.
Well, that's basically what, I mean, we basically said we need expert advice, so.
Yeah.
But I will point out that in Article 4 on line 20, it says lengthen and stagger terms for elected offices. In Article 2, we had the same language that we voted in favor of. I believe.
So we probably say, yes, this is a good idea, but we still need advice on it. I guess we could label that green.
I mean, clearly, this involves changing the terms of election, so it's beyond
Right.
the level of the council. So they need to
Right.
tell us how we could do that.
Right. So I'd put that as green.
But that's an example, just that the part you referred to in Article 2, I remember flagging the lengthen and stagger terms for elected office, flagging because it's probably governed by state law is what I think we learned. In other words, that would impact its appearance in Article 4 as well.
Mhm.
Yes.
Correct.
So we would need, I think so. I mean, we voted, there were 5 votes for it in Article 2. One of them, the 2 column had an asterisk in it, which we assumed was a flag. So I think that's what we moved to flags from asterisks after that. But So that could be, I mean, it certainly could be in the green. And we still need expert advice, so
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's certainly something they could annotate.
Yeah. All right.
but my notes say those should be divided.
Lengthen and stagger.
Yeah,
Well, the point of that, I think it was, the point of lengthening them was so they could be staggered. That was my understanding
oh,
of
okay,
the,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Right. 'Cause my notes, yep,
So
maybe
then
we should
I mean,
say that, maybe we should say that,
yeah, I mean, we might want to,
lengthen in order to stagger.
in order to stagger.
Because if you don't lengthen them, you can't, unless you're gonna have an election every year.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yep.
Which is what they
Um,
do in one place somewhere. Chicopee, yeah, Chicopee.
I think so. Okay,
So-
well, let's move on to section 5.
Yeah, I just want to point out the two at the bottom of this section. We had in Article 4. Sorry, can you scroll up?
Oh,
one?
so yes, yeah.
These were both voted. Nobody voted in favor of them, but 5 people abstained and flagged. So if we're leaving out abstentions, it clearly failed. But people flagged it, and I don't know why, or they
I can-
abstained.
I flagged it, and I can say why.
But did you abstain too?
No, I think I flagged it because what are some examples of how you would enhance transparency in the town budget? Is that,
No, this
Um,
is Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals. And
Oh,
non-voting
I'm
residents
sorry.
Should be elected by residents, not appointed by the town
This was
council.
flagged because we need expert advice because
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
not sure if that, basically, it seems like some members supported the idea, but we needed the Collins Center to confirm whether that can happen
Right.
in both
Okay.
cities and towns
Thank-
or just in towns,
thank you.
as in official, like, town meeting towns, not towns like Amherst where we've done this political thing. Article 5.
Enhanced transparency, I think that was one where there's no language there that can go in a charter. 3 people voted against it, 5 people have flagged it, I think, because they think transparency is important.
Right.
I agree.
I don't think we
I
would
was-
send that in.
I agree.
But I was in that category of people, a lot of people want more transparency, but how do you do, we need some examples of how to do that and what it
I think-
means.
I think we can ask Collins with some, see if they have
But
ideas.
But didn't
I
we
think
just say
have
we're not
ideas
sending
here
it in?
that we have
Okay.
some ideas in here that are about transparency, so.
Okay, okay,
Concerns about lack of collaboration between school system and the town. Again, this is like, it's a value statement, but it's not really something that gives us language.
I think with both of these, we should ask Collins Center to see if they could think up some language for us to consider.
sure.
I disagree. I think we
Yeah.
have specifics about transparency. I mean, about ways that people can find out things, and we should consider those. And we also have a section on the school committee, and we have things, that we could add. We could specifically say things, but I haven't seen anybody suggest. I don't know what that would be.
We don't have anything directly governing the school budgeting process, and I think that is what, as in suggestions, and I think that is what Collins could help us with to see if they could develop a proposal that might improve the situation for the community.
Well, we have a regional system that's we're not even under the control of, so it's not going to be easy.
Correct, but that's why we hire a consultant to figure out those difficult things, considering that Amherst still pays 81% of the region and has its own elementary school that they're having trouble funding.
I mean, we have nobody voting for this at this point.
That's my point. There's no positive votes at all. So why would we be second guessing the input of this committee?
Well,
I mean, we can
This is-
certainly do it. Yeah, sorry, Erica's got her hand up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Erica, go ahead.
This goes back to the point, 5 people flagged it
right,
because it maybe didn't rise to the level, it didn't sort of fall off, like this is unimportant, but it clearly is a longer discussion than we would want to take on a simple vote of prioritizing. So
Mhm.
that's why it was flagged. I didn't abstain from anything. If I had an additional question, I flagged things. So that's how I used the vote that day. So 5 flags to me says we need additional discussion, and that discussion can be, we need consultation. That's part of what we've been marking, and part of it is we need to mark certain things for additional discussion among ourselves to decide, well, this is a comment that came in about this subject. Can we actually do anything about that in the charter? And it may be that the answer is no, and we don't need to debate any further.
So is that our discussion, or you're saying, or we put it in as a question to Collins?
Specifically around where it says concerns about lack of collaboration, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think this one is a line item, because it's not clear what it's actually asking for. It's raising an issue about transparency, which comes up in other places. So it may be that we need to have I think I suggested this maybe during our retreat, that we could contemplate sort of having a series of addendums that aren't part of the report, that are charter suggestions, but are, here's a set of recommendations around transparency that came up over and over again, that don't necessarily rise to like Article 4.2 revision, but it has to do with how to increase transparency, because the public is raising this concern over and over again in various ways. So, but like that, we can't have that debate, that we can't arrive at that suggestion right now because it's complex. And so maybe this one doesn't go to Collins, because Collins can give us like context and advice if there's something on the table. Right here, it feels like there's nothing on the table yet. That's my view.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I agree with Eric. I think there's not much really on the table here, and Collins could at least be able to give us advice, give us legal wording, and also tell us, like, hey, here's what other municipalities that have a working relationship between town council and school committee, or have chosen to fully fund their schools, have done. And I think that this is arguably, depending on how you see it, at least one of the top 3 issues facing this community as a town. And I think the community would be disappointed if we don't address it at all, or find any ways to potentially improve or clarify the situation between the collaboration between the town council and the school committee, and how we fund our schools in a fiscally responsible way that is not basically firing teachers year after year.
Meg has her.
Julian?
Yeah,
Meg was
go right ahead.
So does Ken. I strongly agree with Erica. I don't know if this is something that would come in the narrative about other things that we heard, but this was something a lot of people have said. It doesn't necessarily mean funding our schools. I mean, you go a little further than I would go, Julian. I think there's been a lot of feeling that the relationship between the school committee and the council needs to be improved. We heard it over and over, those of us who went to the listening sessions. And it's certainly maybe it's not a charter thing, but it's something that we heard a lot.
Yeah, I would say I agree, Meg. We've heard it a lot from the community, and we've heard it from counselors, and anyone who's following town government or even reads the newspaper knows that the current relationship, not to place blame on one side or the other, is vindictive and not working.
So Ken and Andy have their hands up too.
Ken and then Andy.
In support of Erica, and maybe even more broadly, yeah, I always saw our reports as being something that obviously focused on the charter itself, but also shining light on these things that are not charter related, but we heard about. And then a third level is simply just having an addendum that has everything in it. All things that are sort of, quite frankly, ridiculous at times, and some are very but yeah, these transparency needs to be one of those things that is not a charter thing, but it needs to be highlighted for the council to say, we gave the public a megaphone and here's what they told us, and you should probably listen.
Yeah, I agree. Andy, and then I'm gonna try to dispose of this with a vote, since it's clear there's some level of disagreement.
I think we need to distinguish between political, relationships in the town that change from time to time, and things that are about how we organize the system. And I'm not sure that the relationship between the town council and the school committee is a structural one. I think it's one about relationships and politics. And so that happens within a structure, but I don't think there's something structurally wrong with how we're organized, or something that's structurally fixable. I think it's that the people involved have to fix it within the system. So I think it's important to keep our eye on that we're building sort of a concrete framework, and that what happens within that framework involves people, and sometimes it's going to be frustrating.
Okay, Ken, do you have another comment? Nope, I guess your hand's just still up. I'm gonna make the motion that for this issue with concerns about a lack of collaboration between the town and the schools, that we ask Collins for potential wording and examples of what other municipalities have done. Do I have a second?
Second,
Thanks, Meg.
could we have
Yep.
a discussion?
That's what I was about to get us to a discussion. You're first in line after I make my quick comment. I was just gonna say that I think that it is a structural issue. I think education funding on the local, state, and national level is a structural problem. And the charter is part of that structure and part of that system. And if we can make a small change in the system to help make the structural problem better, with education funding, especially in the current political climate, that is a good thing. Just a random suggestion as an example of how that would be done. We ask the town manager to attend one school committee forum a year. I have never personally seen a town councilor in the school committee audience, just my own anecdotal experience. If we ask town councilors to attend a forum on the public school budget, maybe that would help something. It's certainly something that could go in the charter, that could come out of this recommendation and allow councilors to maybe get a little bit different of a perspective, or at least open their minds. Meg?
You're muted,
I think
Meg.
it's, yeah,
Got it.
thank you, Athena. Well, there you are, Athena. I think this is, I would word this differently, and I know we don't want to go there, but I think it's emotionally stated, lack of collaboration, no collaborative process. I would rather word it in terms of desire for better quality communication between the school system and the town. Particularly concerning looking at the calendar, clear communication. I don't know, but I just think words like lack of collaboration and not a collaborative process are emotional, and as Andy said, it's more of a political comment than describing a process. I know it's not related to the charter, but if there are issues around how major bodies in our town relate to each other, maybe it's something that we should ask the Collins Center to help us frame so the language isn't political and emotional.
Thank you, Meg. Andy, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I agree, Meg, that would be a great way to frame it, and I think it should be in the supplemental section, which is things that we heard,
Right.
rather
right.
than things that we want to put in the charter, because
Mhm.
I think it's important to, we said we wanted to reflect the things that we heard loud and clear, and this is something we've heard loud and clear, but I don't think it rises to the level of the charter. or it's specific enough to be in the charter.
Well, do
Thank you.
people want to amend the language? Oops,
I'm
sorry,
not-
I didn't raise my hand.
It's okay. I'm not completely sure I agree, just because we, as a committee, yes, the public is gonna offer emotional statements to us. Of course, people are rightfully emotional if their child's teacher is laid off and they feel that that was a very good teacher, a good program that their child was in. People will be emotional about that. It's our job as a committee. We stepped up to the plate to be able to decode those emotional statements from public commenters and say, so what can be done about that at a structures and systems level? And that's why we need to see from Collins or someone who has more expertise than we do, who's smarter than I am, to say, hey, here's ways that you could improve this relationship that do rise to the level of a charter or that other municipalities have in their charter. Because I know other municipalities do address this issue, especially ones
Mhm.
that have had problems with school funding or funding of other services before. Other comments before I move us along to a vote on the motion?
Just a quick one.
Yeah,
Marcus, can you
Oh,
show?
sorry.
Can you, what?
sorry, go
Can you-
ahead, Andy, then Erica.
Marcus, can you show us the green page? Just so that we see the things that we're sent, the list of things that we're sending to Collins to comment on now. Just scroll up. These are all things that we agreed that we want them to give us feedback on and to help us understand how to put forward. So they're going to have their hands full with fairly specific things that we're asking for, and for them then to give us some feedback. That's good enough, I think, to give us feedback on, you know, an emotional statement about political bodies not getting along. I don't. I think we should register it in our down below our chart. That's all.
Thank you, Erica.
I will just go back to what I said earlier, which is that it may be useful to get input from Collins, but not until this is kind of put into the form of something they might better be set up to respond to. In other words, it's our work as a committee to parse this into either individual or set of comments that we receive that have to do with, like we could say to Collins at some point, that's not about a line item in this feedback spreadsheet. Look, we're receiving a lot of comments about the poor quality of the relationship between these two entities. What are specific suggestions that might exist around that? And that's it. It doesn't have to be a response to this particular phrasing of this particular issue, but I think we can, you know, I might amend this motion, which is, do we send this to Collins or not? To say, put it in a bucket to be sort of a second tier that needs a little bit of editing or cleanup on the part of the committee before it merits a response from our very busy consultants.
I hear what you're saying. I think the people at Collins have served us excellently. But
Of course
in
they
my
have, but-
mind, this is something that we can get guidance on them from. After all, the taxpayers paid the price of a pretty decent used car for Collins Center to help us out. Why? I don't understand why we're hesitant to use them. Meg?
I don't hear Erica saying not use them. I'm hearing her say, let's reword this to get their feedback on how we might include this in some kind of report, whether it's an addendum or something. We heard this, and I think this language is emotional and comes from a political perspective. Nonetheless, it's something we heard. So would like to amend our proposal to send it to them until we've reworded this in a different way and ask them how to deal with it, or should we deal with it at all? That's why we have them.
Thank you. Let me see. Any other comments? No. Okay, we're voting on this. I'll start with myself. I'm an aye.
Wait.
Meg?
What's the vote? What's the
Can you
vote? Just-
restate the motion, please?
Yeah,
Sorry, sure. The motion is, and Meg seconded it, I'm accepting your statement as a friendly amendment, Erica, to edit this statement and then send it to Collins for their review to see if we can get suggestions of how this could be done. This line.
Just to say, in my recommendation to do that was also a sort of second priority because we're trying to
Right.
work with them in a sort of
efficient.
in an efficient sort of ranked way. There are things that are clearly, as they just showed, the green column, that are clearly kind of needing expertise as stated, as those comments came in. So
I'm happy to work with the committee and I'm happy to edit the comment into a more sort of palatable manner. I will accept that as a friendly amendment. I don't think I can support putting it as a lower priority, given how high of a priority this is for the entire community. But I accept the first part of your motion as a friendly amendment, and Meg has seconded, so we're gonna move
But wait a
on.
minute, but
What
what's,
is it
could
now?
somebody state what we're voting on exactly? Now I'm confused.
We're voting on if we want to send this issue to Collins, with some editing of it to make it a little bit more merited and a little bit less emotional.
So could we, if we vote yes, could we agree on who's gonna do that editing?
I was just offering to do it. I was saying.
Well, how
I'll do
about
it.
we have two people who don't have the same, like Andy and somebody else?
Does someone
You don't
wanna
wanna do
work-
it. Andy doesn't want to, okay.
Does someone want to work on it with me? If you want to, Meg, if you want to work on it with me, I'm happy to.
Sure, as long as we do it
Great.
really soon,
Great,
soon,
I
like
can-
tomorrow.
I'm happy to work on it with you on my computer tomorrow, and I can guarantee you,
People
I
need to
don't
see what
think-
it is before they vote yes, right?
yes, exactly. And I can guarantee you, I don't think that we completely agree on school funding. So we're good people to work on it together.
So are we voting on something that we don't know what it looks like?
Yeah, that doesn't
No.
make any sense.
We're voting to have me and Meg edit it and then send it out to the committee and send it out
Okay.
to Collins. So.
Wait.
Well, we're voting
When
on
does
whether
it-
to put it on the list to send to Collins, and we don't know what it is.
No, I think we're not putting it on the list. We're voting to do a different process, which is to discuss, to reword it and bring it back to the committee. So I amended.
With the understanding that if the committee approves of that rewording, it then gets sent to Collins.
Yeah, but we haven't, so we're the three parts to it. Julian and Meg will do an edit and they'll send it to the whole committee, and sometime in the future, the committee will vote on whether to send it to Collins.
Correct.
And the question to Collins, in my opinion, is how should we deal with this feedback we heard from a lot of people, which was emotional and not specific, but strongly
Correct.
felt.
I guess I just want to understand, is this going to hold us up from sending the green list to Collins
No.
ASAP?
No.
No, it's separate.
No. Separate.
And we could all vote not to do it. Once you
Correct.
see it, people should say, forget it.
So this is a separate thing from what we've been talking about the rest of the time.
Yes, it's putting it in a
Apparently.
third category.
We're just trying to deal with it so we can keep going, but
Correct.
not. Yeah. It's a
Correct.
new category. This is a version of flagging.
Okay, myself, I'm an aye. Andy,
Aye.
Meg,
I,
Ken, Ken,
I
thanks. Erica
Aye.
and Marcus.
Sorry, I had to find the button.
No problem. Thanks. Okay, moving us along to elections, I think adding a recall provision. is
So I'll just
pretty-
say on that last thing,
Yeah.
I'll volunteer to send you some language, Julian,
Sure,
so we don't, as a
Sounds
first
great.
draft.
I'll wait for an
And I
email
might,
and I'll,
I might send it to others to, yeah, okay, I'll send it to you very soon.
that's fine. Yep, no, feel free, send it to me whenever you get a chance and I'll see what I think of it, make some tweaks and send it back to you and we can discuss. Thank you, Meg. Erica?
I have just a kind of a point of order because
Mhm.
earlier I
Proceed.
made the comment that for this item, we could consider making it of a second priority. In other words, get the stuff on the green list out the door to Collins and start getting feedback. When you restated my statement, you characterized it as being of a lower priority because of its content, that I was sort of
Oh.
ranking the issues around the school committee as of a lower priority. And you kind of turned it into a value statement of mine about making this a second priority. And I just wanted to clearly object to it being characterized in that way, because what we arrived at is in effect what I said earlier, which is we're going to go ahead with the green stuff and we're going to restate this particular issue into clearer language so that it can be considered by Collins possibly at a later time, which is kind of where I started. But I think when you restated it, Julian, you made it seem that I was saying this issue is garbage, it's a second priority, it doesn't matter. And I object to that characterization.
I
That's all the
apologize.
point of
That is-
order. We can
I
continue.
I understand I understood your statement at the time as this is a lower priority to me personally as a committee member.
It is
And I
not,
was
that was
saying
not my
that I
statement at all.
disagreed, and I apologize if I
It was
misunderstood your
procedural.
statement.
It was purely
Okay.
procedural.
Great, thank you for clarifying. Can we move on to section 7?
I'm so excited that I'm doing the minutes for this meeting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lovely job.
Good luck.
Yeah, really. I need Marcus to help me with ChatGPT.
Seriously. Add a recall provision. This, I feel like we need to discuss with Collins more.
Well, it didn't get enough votes. No, it got 4, sorry.
I got 4, and it 3 were against and 1 was abstaining or flagged or whatever.
Well, the flag was, I think, around the fact that it would take so long and the terms are only 2 years. What's the point?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was
I
like, it's a
felt-
good idea, but it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So do we know who abstained and flagged? Was that actually an abstention
Let's
or
see.
was that, what's that?
I think it might be a worthwhile idea to have everyone put their individual votes in as homework, so we know, like, Andy voted this way, for example.
Yeah.
I know you sent that to me, Andy. Erica sent it to me. And I believe one other member sent it to me. But if everybody could do that, that way we just have a record within the Google Sheet. Just add to the Google Sheet your personal votes. And that way we have a record of who voted how.
So we
How-
write our
how-
name after the number? Sorry.
How are we doing that?
Adding a tab in the Google Sheet where you basically say,
Wow.
just like Marcus did, for example, Meg, if it's your votes, put Meg's votes and go through and put your votes as how you voted then. And if
On-
you
on
don't,
that
rem-
On that
if you
one
don't
thing.
remember, that's okay.
Mhm.
Yes,
But it's just on that one thing, not the whole day.
correct.
On one item or the whole spreadsheet?
On the ones in the white.
Do you recall?
So Andy or whoever on this feedback subcommittee that owns this spreadsheet needs to make it a fully shared
Yeah.
document.
Correct.
If we're gonna do that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a Google Doc right now. It's just a spreadsheet.
Right, that's what I mean.
If
Yikes.
it's easier, we could clarify via email too.
Why don't we just tell, why do
Sure.
we need to know who voted what way?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Because 3 people said no,
I was
so it's.
gonna
so if
say
we're-
we could.
If we're
we could-
voting, it's a yes if we're voting, except for the flag, which is probably around what we're discussing, that it's not feasible.
I was just gonna say that we could do it on all the votes, just so everyone knows.
Ay, ay, ay.
You know,
Mm.
I understand that's a lot of work, but it's also more transparent to the public.
well, I mean, we voted, so, you know, I might think differently now, but I don't, you know, so. I think the votes are the votes, I mean, this one, it certainly, you know, if we don't include abstentions, it passes, so it could go green, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I voted against it, but I think Collins Center would
Okay.
probably say, you already have 2-year terms, so
What's the big deal?
why would
Right.
you add a recall in between those? But
Yeah,
I don't,
okay.
I don't feel
so
it's
let's-
worth my time to go through and record all the votes I made. Would take a morning.
Yep.
Maybe not everybody
That's
even
right.
has it written down
Um,
on their sheets. Not everybody may have written it down.
Yeah. Okay. I am not sure I agree, but that's okay. We'll move on. Add a recall provision. Does this go in the green? So, Andy, are you saying that you would put both these 2 issues in the green? Or just one?
I mean, if we're not looking for five votes, if we're saying there's a majority of people voting, it goes in the green.
Yeah, then I
Yeah.
guess
I don't
this
think I
goes in
don't
the
think
green.
it.
Okay.
I don't think it's feasible, but and it would require beyond action beyond the council. It would require, you know, it's affecting elections, so it would require state action. But
Okay,
we can
let's
agree.
put this in the green. And then I'm assuming the next one, Marcus, that was like an accident to put that
No,
in.
no,
we
I
already
put it in
had
the
that.
green because we've already talked about it, right? We
Oh,
already
okay,
put the
great,
other one,
thank you. Excellent,
the previous one we put in as, because it's
Great.
that Article 2 stuff, yeah.
excellent. Okay, so just so for the sake of time here, noting what Andy was saying, do we want to move the next one into the green as well, seeing 4 votes in favor, 3 votes against, and 1 flag?
Yes.
Okay, other perspectives? I guess we can vote if we want.
So, well, yeah,
It didn't get flagged.
it did get flagged, but
Did?
one thing is, what do you mean by simultaneous translation of all meetings, right? So,
Yeah,
in
that's
what
like
form, in terms of actual in-person translation, or like the town has pocket translators, or are you requiring Zoom to have a translation, or you know,
Yeah.
because we have such a disparate means to access a meeting, what does a translation of all official meetings mean? It's kind of where I get a little stuck on.
Mhm.
You know, and it could get us in trouble if we actually do go down the road of putting it into a charter.
Right.
So, I mean, I agree that it's certainly something we should put into like some rules or something, you know, make the best possible way of doing it. But, you know, right now, because they have the pocket translators, you could say, well, we have the simultaneous capability of doing it, but this meeting is all on Zoom.
Right.
Zoom doesn't provide translation, but your phone does. So are we, like, how would we achieve that? So I mean, it's a pretty good idea. I'm just like kind of stuck. Are we, by requiring it, by putting it in a charter? I mean, this is probably something too that Collins will bring up.
This is
how will we achieve it?
I don't have all the answers to your questions.
Oh, yeah.
I have just personally, my folks live in Southwick and like my grandparents, and they have simultaneous translation at all their meetings, that are in person with a physical translator present.
Right.
And on Zoom, they have, basically the town has bought some sort of software that translates it in real time. And I don't know exactly how that is done or how it's worded, but I'm sure we could ask Collins to examine
Mhm.
Town of Southwick's charter and find out how they've done it and include similar language or model that based off of them or another town that does it well.
Does their charter include it, or is that something they just did?
I believe their charter includes it. In some level. I don't know exactly the level. I didn't look at it. I was just talking with my grandparents and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's definitely in our charter." And my grandmother's on the planning board there. So that
So-
is, I could be wrong. It's word of mouth is all I'm saying. But
So two of us have our hands up. Oops.
yes,
Erica went
go
away.
ahead, Meg, and then Eric.
No, where's, no, Erica might have
Go
been
ahead,
first, but
go
where did
ahead,
she
Meg.
go? I think the word official meetings is vague. I mean, when there's it should be either say public meetings, or I think it should be council meetings and council committees. There are too many meetings. And, all our meetings would be translated, for example, and I think it's unrealistic that this is an example where probably why it was flagged, that it needs to be clearer. And I would support this if it said all council meetings and council committees should be translated into Spanish. But it's just, when there's a staff meeting, is that an official meeting? It's kind of official, but it's not public. Do we mean public meetings?
Mhm.
Meetings that are under the, protected by the open meeting law? I mean, this isn't, it's too vague. An official meeting could be a staff review,
Okay,
a
I'm
performance
just gonna
review.
hold on one sec. I'm just gonna sort of, since we're starting in section 8 and it's clear a lot of people disagree on this, it's 8:15. Do we want to wrap up and take this up at a different meeting?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
Wait,
Wow.
can,
Wait.
can we agree that we're gonna send the list that's green to Collins Center for their feedback?
Yes.
Should we vote on that? I think that's a great
Sure,
idea.
we
Otherwise,
can-
they're gonna need
Sure.
time.
Sure, we can vote on that. Well, I just
And then-
want to respect people's times. I know you said you wanted to get out of here at 8, Meg, and it's 8:15.
Yeah, but I'm still here and I'm not complaining much.
Well, I am because I have something at 8:30. But anyway, let's vote on that. I'll make the motion to send everything in the green list to Collins.
Second.
Second.
Great.
Oh, sorry, Erica.
No problem. I'll give that to Marcus. Comments, questions? I don't see any. Okay, let's vote.
I'm lowering my hand.
Great. Meg,
Yes.
myself, I'm an I. Erica,
Aye.
Andy,
Yes.
Marcus,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Great, excellent. That's unanimous. I'll now move us along to see if we can adjourn.
The, before we adjourn,
Other
do you
questions?
want,
Yes.
the feedback subcommittee to come up with something to send to them, or how do we want to, do you want us to take the greens that we agreed
I
on
would
tonight and the green list
Take the
and
greens,
put it in a
send the
form
greens.
that could be, that they could comment on?
Send the greens to them in a form they can comment on, and with the whites, we'll take up the rest at the next meeting and hopefully be able to send that as like, here's an additional.
Okay.
Great. Other questions, comments?
Erica's hand is up.
Erica's down.
Erica, go ahead.
When is our next meeting?
Yeah, really good one.
Our next meeting is in 2 weeks on Thursday. I don't have the date on me, but 2 weeks from today, that is generally the rule we follow. So if we
October
have a meeting, October 7th, thank you, Ken.
Second. Yeah.
So
Second,
by that
thank you.
time, by that time, we are likely to know the answer to the question about the extension?
No, because that vote is on October 6th.
Oh, actually, sorry, Julian, just for your information, Southwick's
Yes.
actually a town. It doesn't
Oh.
have
Not a
charter.
city. Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't have a
So
charter.
it's a town. Okay. Whatever their governing principles.
Yeah,
Anyway,
sorry, I just been Googling.
That's okay. I appreciate it. We'll discuss this. Yes, Erica.
I had a follow-up to my question. So we're meeting in 2 weeks. We're unlikely to finish or finalize an initial report at the end of those 2 hours. Which means that the initial report now is looking like 2 weeks after that.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Correct. I unfortunately have to get going. But if we want what, Meg?
No, nothing.
I have another meeting at 8:20.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I appreciate I scheduled this till 8:00.
yep. So Erica's
that's
raising a good
not
question. So we
debatable.
bring that up at the next meeting or bring it up at the beginning of the next meeting in terms of the realistic goal date for finishing the report?
Well, if you all would like to discuss that, you're welcome to discuss that. But when I leave, we don't have a quorum anymore. So that's just the bottom line, and I have to leave pretty soon. Okay. Thank you.
Well, we would
So
have a
other
quorum, but
comments, questions before I adjourn the meeting?
look, we would
If-
have a quorum because
okay.
we still have
Would-
five.
would-
and I don't
then
There
know-
would be
would you
5
like-
of us if you have to
There'd be-
go.
Then would
There'd
you
be
like
5
to
of us.
stay,
Yeah,
Meg, and have
Erica could
chair
take
the
it as
meeting?
vice chair.
So we can
Erica,
stay for
3
2
minutes.
minutes and finish the discussion.
If you'd like
Yeah.
to do that, okay. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. You too.
So the issue is the infrequency of our meeting causes a problem for kind of finding a consensus. There's it's uncomfortable to have this discussion without the full committee here, but there's a question about, do we need to break off part of it into a separate group? We haven't really discussed, is it the feedback committee alone that's going to generate the initial report? And how that relates to our kind of rhythm, our meeting rhythm as a full committee. So I don't want to have a half-hour discussion about this. Everybody's tired, but I think it's not necessarily just, let's just hope we get it done next time. I don't know if anybody has thoughts or motions to make around it.
I think didn't we talk about having a writing committee?
We did at one point say it's going to be difficult for us to write as a group of 8, or to, it's usually, I think, easier to generate something and then bring it for feedback to a larger group. But we would have to sort that out as a full group. I mean, we can create a report
I mean,
writing
I think the
subcommittee.
feedback subcommittee's been doing work crunching the data, but I don't know that we should be the ones to draft the report. I'd rather have a fresh group of people who want to take that on, including people from both subcommittees, and
Mhm.
whatever. So, but I mean, we're going to get feedback or whatever. We're going to get response from Collins to say, these things look good. These things could be better. These things probably aren't going to work. And then we have to figure out what we do with that. We're going to have to take more votes,
Mhm.
and then we'll have to put it into a chart and then approve it, I think. And then we're going to have the sections where we said, these are all the other things we heard, the themes that are also important, but they're not charter ready or whatever. So,
Right. So does it come down to kind of putting on the agenda for the next committee meeting, forming a writing report? I think it was on our agenda for tonight to discuss a work group. But we didn't come to that. So do we just move that agenda item to October 2nd or whatever it is for our next full committee meeting?
Meg.
Meg had a hand up.
Athena has
Yeah.
a comment.
Oh,
Please take Meg first.
Okay, Meg.
you're
muted.
You're
muted,
muted.
Meg.
Each of the committees, does it make sense for each of the committees to appoint someone to work with the other two people? Two is a good number to write because it can just go back and forth. Does that make sense? You know, over the next few days to start
I
next
nominate
week?
Ken. Yeah.
I nominate Erica.
Well, I
Eric?
can't the next couple days for sure because I'm
No, but I
out
mean
of
to,
town.
if we could appoint two people just to do the first draft.
Well,
Let's hear Athena's comment, please. Hang on.
Yeah,
Thanks. My suggestion is first that it's usually helpful for someone to take a swing at a first draft because having a jumping off point for folks to comment on is really useful. That's how the process works in most council committees. One member takes on the drafting and then they get feedback and revise that. And it's an iterative process. Another way that you might tackle this is that the outreach subcommittee write a summary of their activities, the feedback subcommittee write a summary of their activities, and then those two parts go into that initial draft as a way of
Okay.
like breaking things up and spreading the load.
Thank you.
but it seems if two people, oh, sorry, Andy's got his hand up and I already spoke.
Andy?
I'm just trying to think of the order of things. We're sending a list of things to Collins for comment. I don't think it makes sense to write anything until we get comment back.
Mhm.
So I think maybe
It's good.
we should get comment back. We should review that at our next meeting, and then we should identify a team or a person or whoever the writing component will then be informed by the discussion that we have after we review what comes from Collins. But I think a writing committee would be helpful, but maybe a small one.
Very small, yep. I agree with Andy.
Okay. Can I ask a question? Is the process of sending the green bucket to Collins likely to turn over with enough time for them to get some responses back for our next meeting?
Good point. Good question.
I'm going to be on the road for the next few days, so I won't be able to do much, I don't think. But it's almost, I mean, we basically had to move a couple items that we talked about tonight into the green column, and we, copy that as basically something that we send to them. I think, as it's a chart that has, here's a bunch of ideas organized by article.
But it may take a week to sort of put all that together and have enough time to clean it up and send it with enough context.
I mean, if
For it to
somebody
make
else
sense
wants
to
to
them.
do it, it could happen soon. Or I could maybe do something in a hotel room tomorrow night.
Oh, oh.
Don't really want to know about that. So.
Andy in a hotel room in New Jersey. Ooh.
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
oh, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Oh, that's
high
different.
end, high end. Yeah.
Well, in any case, that it seems like that work has to happen and it has to sort of come out of the feedback subcommittee.
Mhm.
Those two things are true. And it has to at least get launched to Collins in, if we can say in a week's time.
Short
I mean,
order, yeah.
it sounds like it's a hard ask to get it back from to get it back from them with useful in a useful timeline to have like workable feedback for our next meeting. It doesn't seem like, given people's schedules, given that we need enough time to post it up so everyone can absorb it, to have enough time to comment on it in a meeting. So, but getting it launched to them seems doable, and making sure that we have an agenda item to solidify the writing work group or whatever we're gonna call it,
Mhm.
or person, first draft person, whoever that falls to. That needs to happen next time, it seems to me, with some urgency, but that's my perspective. Marcus?
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. I forgot it. Can I just share the worksheet just so we can kind of get an idea about what we are going to send to Collins? Because I mean, they're fairly to the point, which I'm hoping would actually, yes, rather than just talking, I need to actually share. You know, so they're fairly to the point. So, you know, just definitions and measures. To me, this is kind of fairly boilerplate. A lot of this stuff should be fairly simple. So we may be able to get it back in time. But yeah, to your point, Erica, I mean, it's iffy. I mean, I'm always positive on their ability to turn it around, but we aren't the only town in Massachusetts or city doing this
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah.
It may be that they can give us a partial response. It may be that there's certain things
Yeah.
that they will
Yeah.
prefer to discuss with us, as opposed to
Mhm.
just add a comment on a spreadsheet.
Right.
I
Actually,
don't know.
but that's a thing. So I think when who is actually going to send this to them?
Andy?
Andy. Oh, okay, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we include, you know, just to say, please send us what you have by a certain time? Because I think, Eric, you brought up, you know, a partial response is better than no response. So at least if we get something back, we can deal with that versus getting nothing back because they're waiting to get the whole thing done. And, you know, we don't need the whole thing done to start things off. You know, we could start putting together bits of the report, you know, based on even just, you know,
Yeah.
Article 2 or Article 1. You know, we can get the process going and start moving along, which would give us an idea about how things would work out in that respect. I think, you know,
Yeah.
So
just
if
ask
we,
Alice,
Okay, Meg had her hand up.
I'm sorry.
I'm so glad to have this conversation. This is what I was at the beginning of the meeting asking, what has to be done to meet these deadlines? I suggest that when somebody sends this to Collins, whoever it is, and it might be Erica and Andy, have a conversation with them about their capacity to respond and give them so it's not just an email to them, but give them some sense of what we're working on, what our timeline is, when we think we'll get things to them. Is there a way to get things back in batches rather than not necessarily all at once, so that we have a better understanding from them of what their capacity is right now? To get how, you know, so that our timeline is realistic.
Andy?
Could I just ask if Marcus or Ken, since you guys are on the feedback subcommittee, if one of you can take this chart, the green chart, and whatever other greens we came up with tonight, and just put them in one sheet
Yeah.
sometime this weekend.
I
And
can,
then I can take it on Tuesday and I can send it and, you know, frame something and send it to them. And then ask them when we can get, and ask for a time to discuss, maybe with Erica and me, or I don't know, Julian, I don't know. But sort of take a temperature on what their capacity is to give us some feedback within
Yeah.
that week. Because we need it. If we're meeting in 2 weeks on Thursday, we need it by that Monday or Tuesday.
Right,
yeah, to be able to go in the packet.
right.
Yeah. I
And
can, sorry, I was having issues getting onto Google Drive through my work, but yeah, I can do that now. I will send you guys a link. was
Great.
thinking about putting it in the one from the. I think this just deserves a separate document so that you can send it. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah, thank you.
So is that
Okay.
okay if Marcus does it, and then I'll send it out Tuesday and you know. and
Yeah,
then-
if you want to reach out, Andy, to Collins and see if they would like to set up a meeting about what we're proposing as a process, I can attend and Julian can attend, and that way we have, you know, we have a good way to come up with a
Okay.
plan quickly or have realistic expectations about what they can produce.
Okay. So reach out to them, say we're going to be sending you this thing. We'd like to set up a meeting to discuss it. And
Yeah, maybe like mid late next week. It starts to get short because
I
then the beginning of the following week they have to. But at least we could,
maybe we could, if you create this thing somewhere along the way, I can send it to them, but we can reach out for a meeting maybe next Tuesday. to discuss it.
Just to kind of clue you in on what I'm thinking. This is the Google Doc, and I'm going to add in whatever we greened up from today. Actually, no, I'm just talking to you without sharing. There we go. This is the Google Doc, and I'm going to add in the lines from the whites that we greened up. Okay. This will be a document that I will share with whomever I need to, and we'll all be good.
I would propose, Marcus, I don't know that you need to include the voting breakdown.
True. Yeah.
It just can be a very simple,
Yeah.
if you can
I'll
leave
clear
the
it up.
comments in
Yeah.
because they might reflect the sense of the committee, but I don't think you need to jumble them up with all that.
So yeah, I'll get rid of columns D through H, and that's good. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
so the other pieces I'll just relay to Julian, our desire to make sure we have an agenda item that resolves the question of the writing process and
Right.
that we not leave that meeting without a clear process and timeline for who's doing what and when. Is my sense right now. Is there anything else?
Erica,
I'll
if I'm asking them for a meeting, what time would work for you on Tuesday?
That's a great question. Could I just to spare everybody this terrible conversation, could I just email you some options right after we hang up?
That'd be great.
If I don't know if it's helpful, but I'll work hard to get that language around the relationship between the school committee and the council, if that would be something for this mailing, or I want to send it to you also, Andy, to make sure you're okay with it. And before I send it to Julian.
That's a piece of work
later.
between you and Julian. And so
Right.
that may
Okay.
end up coming later. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Verica.
I guess someone needs to move to adjourn besides me, right?
So
No, you can.
You can.
I move to adjourn.
I can second.
Okay.
Oh, I got there first, Andy.
You got it. All yours.
Let's vote. Andy,
Aye.
Meg,
Yes.
Ken,
Bye.
Aye.
Marcus.
Aye.
Athena.
Aye.
Good
Athena
night.
vote. Athena
Athena,
votes
wow.
aye, I think. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
See you
Thanks for
guys.
sticking around for this
Yeah,
last part of the
this is
meeting. It was
great,
really
yeah.
helpful.
Thank
Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye.